Hi, Bruce. Nice to meet you.
Hey, uh, I- Irja, Irja?
Yes. Ah, very good. Thanks you found time to come today. And for people who don't know you, would you mind to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Bruce Hauman. I'm kind of known for writing Figwheel, like a long time ago now, especially in programming years. And, that kind of introduced, hot reloading, reloaded code flow as you're working on like a front end for Clojure script. And then I did dev cards and I've done some other things. I'm also known for my, living in that dome, the geodesic dome. Yeah. So there are these things that I'm known
Yeah.
for. And I've been around in the Clojure community and have contributed to open source in the Clojure and especially tooling, anything that gets a REPL into your workflow and
Yeah,
dynamic things like that. That's kind of what I've always been interested
absolutely.
in. Yeah.
Absolutely. Figwheel has been a big thing, actually. We have got proper hot reload earlier than JavaScript, I guess.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I would, and with the patterns that came along with it, right? Like with the heads up display in the in the bottom, telling you when you get a compile error, and there were a lot of little things in it that made it kind of nice.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. It has been, you started 11 years, 12 years ago, actually. What are you working on right now?
Right. Right now I'm working on Clojure MCP and
Mhm.
Clojure MCP Lite, which was to meant to bridge the gap for the disabilities of LLMs to edit code with parentheses.
Yeah,
So and to add some other niceties around the Clojure language. Obviously, things are changing fast, and so
yes.
those are interesting. Those are interesting projects. The other thing is, yeah, I'm working on the at work. I'm looking at the layer where the LLM communicates with our product. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So Clojure MCP was also created in times when LLMs weren't really good at Clojure and Clojure script and couldn't even successfully close parentheses. I
yeah,
remember LLMs iterating on those things for minutes. And then you went to the editor, closed it manually, and
yeah.
problem was solved in a matter of seconds. But they have got so much better, and it seems to me that now LLMs are using Clojure MCP differently. They take bigger bites of the problem, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, do you let AI to work in bigger iterations, or do you still push it to work in smaller ones?
Yeah. So, I would say I think I wish that was a simple binary answer, and that it's not, right. Like sometimes we're working in quite small
Yeah,
iterations, and like the work I'm doing right now, I'm working in small iterations, right?
yeah,
Because the work I'm doing right now is discovery, right? Like I'm just trying to discover like an API
mhm,
where the LLM can work with a product, right? Like an API and it's kind of unknown, like what will work well for the LLM and what won't, and what will
yeah,
be performant and what it just can't wrap its head around,
yeah,
which is, becoming less and less of a thing. You can provide more complex argument structures. You could provide a lot more, and the LLM doesn't care. It can just handle it, and it's kind of
yeah,
surprising that we have a string replace edit is de facto. This simple model for editing when the LLM is now are capable of just they're capable of anything. You could give it, you could say, give me some XSLT
Yeah.
to edit this, and it'll be sure. Here, let's define a language for editing. It'll be like sure. So it's changed a lot. But so the work on right now, small iterations, attentive. Let's
Yeah.
try this. Did it work? Right. But for things that the things we have an instinct that are straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah, let it let it run, let it come up with its solution, and then afterwards, right, use the REPL to do a quick smoke test and see if things are loading, and if let it go through the different functions it created and make sure they're working.
Yeah.
Let it open the browser and make sure things look okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say now bigger, like I obviously I tend towards smaller chunks just because I'm a programmer, and I and I have a harder time with just knowing the technical weight I'm going to the weight of review that I'm going to have to look at if I let it just go whole hog. And so,
Yeah.
I'm afraid of that. And especially, there's a difference between prod, right? Or, a product that's used by a lot of people and, like tooling, like Clojure
Yeah.
MCP. If I screw it up a little, it's not.
Yeah. There are.
People will tell me, and I won't hurt anybody,
Yeah.
if but if it's a personal project,
Yeah.
let's see what this baby can cook. Let's see what it can do, and it can do a lot, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like smaller iterations as well. But for example, in certain situations, we have an internal system where it can actually one shot a whole new feature
Yeah.
because it already knows
Yeah.
how UI components look like,
Yeah.
how are we naming columns in the
Yeah.
database,
Yeah.
what is the controller structure.
Yeah.
So it can adopt the style and it's instructive to use the same style. And really, I have got to situations where in 10 minutes, I have got hundreds of lines of code that were correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the same time, on Twitter, there are people who say, I wrote 1 million lines of code this month. But then you are looking if there is any software, like if you can open their website and see that they created 20 new products and you can download them or sign up. You can't. So somewhere there, you end up with lots of bytes lying on your hard drive that are not working.
Yeah. And but this is a moving, like I feel like this is I agree, right? Like I think it's fun. I think it's a fun activity to push the state of the art and test what can be done, right? I get that, and I get that you get to go viral if you say you did something ungodly because people are looking for it. You also get to go viral if you say the LLM trashed my machine, right? So you're going to get these. We're going to get these extremes, right? Like from social media.
Deleted the database.
Yeah. It destroyed it. It caused me to have to get a divorce from my wife. So that story is going to go viral. But it's just. But I think what I'm more concerned with is like how we adjust to the changing reality, right? Because we form these ideas through experience with the LLM, but then we get kind of stuck. We're like, well, the LLM can't do that, and then you check, and it can't. It's kind of like Gmail doesn't have that feature, and then you're a 12-year-old tells you, it's had that for years, and it's kind of it's this this beginner's mind, you kind of have to be like, get out of those assumptions and
Yeah.
always realize that it. And I have this other idea that I think the LLMs are definitely capable of
Yeah.
incredible things right now.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of tuning, and it's just a matter of tuning and discovery to see how to get them to work with what you're doing. Like you said, like if there's a pattern established, like in Clojure MCP, it's very established how to create a new tool. And so, yeah, I could say create a new tool that does this, and the LLM will create a new tool that does that, because
Yeah.
tooling is very easy, right? Tooling is, I need you to do this, and it'll just boom create it. But I when I see the capability of the models, I just think it's a matter of discovery. It's just a matter of, yeah, I think it's a matter of the information flows that are coming in,
Yeah.
and yeah, uh, and and realizing that there's two parts also. Like, I think discovering an answer is different than adapting the answer to your code base at this
Yeah.
point, right? Like, let it go quickly, discover an answer, even if it's hundreds of lines of code, and then run it through run it through another LLM to mold it to your code. Like, it's too, and the same thing that happened. We do the same thing, right? We're wondering what's causing this, and we'll bang on it. We'll create temporary changes to the code to discover something. We'll do this and that, and once we discover the answer, then we'll step back, right? And we'll say, okay, now let's make something we can commit, to the code base. And so I think people are trying to front load that process by, it didn't generate the code that can be committed immediately. Well,
Yeah.
I think you're, no, but it found the answer, you know, and so, like, yeah, like,
I think it's still worth for people to read the whole code base and to understand it to the level that where you know what's happening.
yeah,
There is a science fiction story. It's called The Machine Stops from Ian Forster. It's
okay,
more than 100 years old. And the story is about a civilization of people who live underground, and everything, air, food, communication, everything is provided by the machine. And they can maintain it, it provides for them, they see the machine as a machine. But later they lose the capability to maintain the machine, and the connection between the technology and people is lost, and suddenly they see the machine is God. But the machine still
mhm,
needs maintenance, and it starts breaking, and people think that God is punishing them. Uh,
mhm,
and if people, and for humans to keep up with AI, the problem is that we don't start our lives with thousands of books in our head or thousands and
yeah,
thousands of hours of experience. So every single child must go learn how to read, write, and then if those kids want to be developers, they need to start coding. So I'm teaching my kids coding. They know Scratch. They started doing
mhm,
Lua, a little Clojure. Um, Over time, they might be good, but like without that, if they will be just vibe coding and blindly trusting whatever they will get, um, will the machine stop? And what will, like, the AI is it's there and it will be never taken from us. But what if we will bytecode applications that are going to be hundreds of lines, hundreds of thousands of lines of code, and it might take years to properly learn how those operate, but we will need them to survive because they might become mission critical systems. So isn't this a little bit of risk for humanity that we will lose this capability to maintain our machines?
well, it, I mean, hasn't this happened over and over? Like, like I guess some technologies advance,
Yeah,
and there are very few people. I mean, there are very few people right now who, like embedded engineering, right?
yeah,
Is a smaller and smaller and smaller field as we standardize, and with compilers, and it's getting abstracted away to the point
yeah,
where, right, and we still have people who do that, right,
yeah,
and they're compensated for being in the minority, COBOL engineers, and these things, these things happen in our society,
yeah,
as these things become more and more robust. And so I feel
yeah,
like we've gone through these things over and over again. Obviously, this is much more profound, right? Because isn't just the machine; it's supplanting, you writing and thinking and
yeah,
in general, right? It's like, I don't want to reason through this. Let's just have the LLM do it. Like that's quite a thing to hand off too. So obviously, um, yeah, it's profound and risky.
yeah.
Is it is it existential, that most of us don't know anything about our HVAC systems? Is it existential? Yeah,
Yeah.
like this could be existential. I just don't. We've adapted to these situations. Um, we're not like, it's not like being, an astronaut where you need to understand every single,
System.
electronic component,
Yeah,
down to to the resistor level of your spaceship.
yeah,
Like in that case, you really do, right? Your life depends on you having that knowledge. But yes, we do live in a world of abstraction.
yeah.
So
And some
yeah,
skills that are lost, it doesn't really matter.
yeah,
That
yeah,
uh, Smiths used to pull teeth before dentists started doing that, right? Or there were human copiers before Xerox.
yeah, yeah,
So usually ladies were sitting in rooms
yeah, yeah.
manually rewriting documents. And now we have Control C, Control V, or Command C, Command V. And it's actually a great thing that they don't have to waste their lives doing those things.
Yeah, yeah,
But I am like, and AIs are super empowering, and at the same time, I'm afraid if they are not going to be uh, to cause humankind to be dumber or less capable.
yeah,
Because of course we can use it to do bigger things,
yeah,
or we can use it to make our lives easier. And not only physically, but also mentally
yeah,
easier.
yeah,
And I hope the humankind will move the way where we will do bigger things, where we will have space elevators, 3D printing, anything on demand, anything you will envision, and not the way where people would live in virtual world created by some AI company and not really doing anything in the physical world.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think I think the dangers are profound, and but I think the dangers are profound, and it does rankle me that I'm so like happy with it, right? I'm so happy to have this assistance. I'm so happy and like giddy and entertained by it,
Yeah,
right? But I do. I think that in if it was like the LLMs have come into an environment, right? And the
yeah,
environment is has the environment is inherently capitalist, right? And in this the capitalist environment has actually for all the good that it's done, and it's done good, right? It's done good. Like it's hard to argue that but it's also contributed to a lot to people having no meaning in their lives and being thus lazy, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't, they're doing the equivalent of the copier back in the day,
Yeah.
and so it's produced a world which is really bent on maximizing profits and making them flow in a direction upward, and it's so it's not only the LLMs that would
Yeah.
create this laziness, right? It's the environment that the environment which created them, right? It takes a lot
Yeah.
of money to create them, right?
Yeah.
But it's also it's also created a lot of people who don't find they don't have that spark that makes you curious and the
Yeah.
time to express that spark and the desire
Yeah.
and maybe LLMs can change it,
It changed you.
yeah, but
Yes. When you look at I think the CEO of Spotify, but he is definitely not a lazy type of a person. But for years, his GitHub was dead, and he started committing again. I guess 90%, 90+% of the code will be AI generated.
yeah,
It's just it. If you don't have time or skills, you're rusty. You might get back to things you are not. You might not be able to do. Or I'm refreshing my grammar school maths and my university maths. I use a startup called Math Academy, mathacademy.com. It's basically that it's giving you tasks. And it's nothing special. You can buy a book with plenty of exercises. So it gives you exercise, and when you do it wrong, when you answer wrong, it gives you the explanation how to solve it correctly. And when I don't know, when I still don't understand, I ask AI to explain.
yeah,
And it finds, oh, you forgot to multiply times -1 somewhere, or I don't know, cosinus in reference angle on unit circle is negative on fourth quadrant, things like that. It catches plenty of those things, so you can learn much better. And for tutoring, it's awesome. Still, we need to push people into doing something. And I think actually capitalism can be of different types. I like win-win
yes,
capitalism.
absolutely, yeah.
Every cooperation, either between employee and employer or between the company and the customer, is win-win.
Yeah.
But it's a win-win for all involved parties. It works the best. And then it is pushing people to be part of those win-win deals, which are mutually valuable. This is how it should be, and this is where I think capitalism works well.
Absolutely.
I could help with to also like requalify people and do things.
Yeah.
If we were going back to software development, one topic when we were preparing for this, you mentioned behavior-driven development. Through behavior-driven development with AI, and I found that it's actually a super interesting idea. Do you want to speak about that a little bit?
Well, yeah, I think Chad Fowler is talking a lot about this right now, and I basically, this is a topic that's online. Basically, it seems like we're going to stop writing code. I mean, it seems like that's where we're going, and that the code is just going to be a substrate, right? Like that we know exists, and it's an expression of something. It's an expression of a specification, right? It's the result of a specification. And so something like BDD or some of these ideas work well when you're talking about a specification. And so, yeah, your job, I really believe the job in the future, right, is being the specifier and
Yeah.
working to create the specification from which the code is generated from. It seems a likely outcome given where we are now and the step change we just experienced. And to say that that's not going to happen, I think I guess that's possible, but it seems more than likely, and it's just the timeline.
Yeah.
What's the timeline we're talking about?
Yeah.
What timeline do you think that's going to be?
Yeah.
What
So
timeline?
basically,
Yeah, yeah,
just to introduce the idea, what we were speaking about, or to explain. So
yeah,
we were speaking about the style, not like R spec, but like cucumber format, which
yeah,
means you
yeah,
have those user stories with given and then statements. You would have a folder somewhere with all the user stories the application has to support.
mhm,
And you, as a developer, would maintain probably one central specification and then a bunch of BDD tests.
yeah,
Uh, it's, by the way, as a coincidence, my first application I built against AI API 3 years and a half or almost 4 years ago was product management software. It was supposed to split specification to user stories to acceptance criteria, and turn them into BDD tests. So
okay,
it's a huge coincidence. So I think specs, like a huge Markdown document, it already exists, and this
yeah,
is already a standard.
yeah,
But all of those tools in AI went to like a planning mode based on to-do lists in
yep,
Markdown,
yep, yep, yep,
which I think might actually hurt those like to-do or task management softwares like Asana, Jira,
yeah,
Linear,
yeah.
and so on. In one of our products, we have already moved management of our backlog to to-do MD.
Oh yeah,
Based on Linear.
yeah,
Because AI is actually writing more code than humans. So we
yeah,
want to keep the to-do list always visible. But yes, to-do lists are under-specified. So then you have like the central spec,
yes, yes, yep,
central agents MD file that describes the behaviors and how you define clean code. But still, there is no description how the UI should behave. For example,
yeah,
how the validation of data should look like, how special states should be solved, and so on. So BDD would be an improvement.
yeah,
It's maybe just about maybe forcing AI to do it already and
yes,
see where it breaks. And in a couple of months, if we will complain enough, they will fix all bugs in AI behavior, and we will be able to do it. So I think it's 95% possible today already.
yeah, yeah.
You just have to start doing it.
Yeah, yeah, and like the other effect of this, yeah, I think there's something implicit here that I think we're not saying explicitly, and that is, you know, the profound change, and maybe everybody's on board with this and understands this already, but the profound change from like the big problem with engineering, right, and software architecture is like, how do we build for change? You know, like how do we build for change, and so that we can express changes without like changing software in a million different places and da 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 da. And well, if change is if you're no longer managing for change and just regenerating an application from a spec
Yeah.
or a piece of an application or what's behind that API is getting, regenerated from a spec. Then this all changes. Obviously, we would want the LLM to maintain the code in a way that it's easy for it to change. And I can imagine situations where we have the LLM change the underlying code for a period of time and then just regenerate, to rebalance the tree towards the spec and then move on from there. But yeah, I think that it really, we've been trained so, like we just think like that. Like we've just been trained to think. The change you're making is going to have an impact on the architecture. Is this good, right? And now
I think that we are now about 2 years from a world where AAA level games will be generated on the fly. You might say, okay, I want to play something like, I don't know, Warcraft, but with Dungeons and Dragons, Steam, Steam Core inspired graphics, and it will make a game for you. And then you will say, AI, but I want to also have an option to play as one of those soldiers in first person view. And it will generate the code, compile it on the run, and add a feature. So you will be able to suddenly play as one of the units, not as a strategic game, but suddenly it will be one of the units. And then you will decide that, I want to add one new faction, and they will have these skills, and it will add a new faction to the game. I
mean, I just want to bridge what you just said to what we were just talking about, in a sense, because I may be taking you off topic of what where you were going, and I apologize, and maybe we'll get back to that. But you were just talking about specification.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about something much looser and a level of intelligence that can pretty much give you what you want. It may not give you the exact interface, but it'll give you what you want, right? And like you're not specifying, I want this or that. It's just, we're assuming that it has a knowledge of interfaces for games, that it will just generate that interface. And has the skill and knowledge to make decisions about interfaces. So I just want to call out that a lot of the things it seems that people talk about these days, right, or how to pay. It's like they're trying to peg down a workflow for something that is moving really rapidly.
Yeah.
And like BDD might be the thing that we talk about for a year as being the answer. And then we're going to realize we just don't need it because it's way smarter than we are. or it knows how to, it understands our interface needs just by giving it a general sentence about look and feel and style and the type of feedback we want, right? So,
I think that, like, when I gave this example, then you say it will be a bit like StarCraft or Warcraft. It doesn't matter. It matters, but it will create an inherent context. Okay, these are the user stories supported in such a game. And then you say, but I want it to be steampunk style. And I want those factions, which means that internally it might change some of those user stories, and it might add new user stories. And then you might say, okay, I want Earth-like physics, or I want Mars-like physics. And when you go into conflict, actually BDD has one great advantage, that once you have conflicting user stories, you cannot write two tests that pass at the same time. You need to remove one of those user stories. So actually, this would give a game like a way how to find that you contradict yourself, and it would say, should I remove this previous, like you said you want Earth-like, let's say physics, and now we want gravity like on Mars. Does it mean that this user story is discarded? You would say yes. But sometimes you might say something that is misunderstood. And you might say something that AI will, okay, do you want to remove all of those factions? But you were
Yeah.
working on them for hours.
Yeah.
And it might have been 50, 100 prompts to get them. So, and you don't want them to remove. So actually, still, if you have a game that's changing, AI will maintain some model of the world. That might not be accessible for you. It might not be a bunch of text files, but somewhere
Yes,
will
exactly.
model
Yes.
the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And it evolves based on those. Like I can imagine BDD-driven AI application that still might generate screens, like a business app, ERP system. You want to achieve something. You say, AI, I want to achieve something. And in a specification, you have processes. So AI knows what it needs to get, like what data inputs are needed. And it might generate forms just for you, just for your purpose. And do not add, for example, form fields that
Yeah.
where you don't have a data, it will not even show those form fields. Because AI knows that those data are not available at the moment.
Exactly. Yep.
So this might also create significantly more dynamic applications.
Yes.
But still, you as a developer, you still are adding user stories that describe processes, limitations, what must be supported, what is no longer supported, and so on.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think you're right. Like, if we're talking about an application where it's got a set of features that we want to be maintained across implementations, then not having a spec would be. And I think what implicit in what you said is change is going to be much easier. We're going to have applications that meet the need specifically instead of but I don't know if we're going to be writing BDD. If pros will do, pros is, I just don't know.
Yeah, it might not be called BDD.
Yeah,
Nowadays, it seems to me that the development world is now in love with the world specification-driven development.
Yeah.
No matter if it's very similar thing. So we might call it specification-driven development.
Yeah.
But-
It might be markdown files. It might be a format that you agree on with the LLM, and then it gets generated into a test suite or who knows. But this still feels very transient to me. I mean, it still feels like a moment in time, and how much code will an LLM with a context window of 10 million tokens be able to generate in one go, right? Like, so
Yes.
I just wonder, about, again, kind of assuming a world that looks a lot like what we have right now when we're thinking about these things.
Yeah.
And also so that we don't get just so we don't get attached. Like, I think what we're talking about makes a lot of sense for right now, but I don't know that we should barrel down a road where we create, like Martin Fowler is creating a lot of IP around this, and he's really, it's working for him, but
Yeah, even like as I'm thinking about that, the idea using AI to write the code.
I said Chad or Martin. Sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
But using AI to write the code, so you save the code to the file and later you compile it and deploy it, might be just a transition phase. Really, we might end up in a world where AI is writing code on the fly, evaluates it, and and then deletes it if it's no longer needed. And only when multiple people ask for the same feature,
Yeah.
just for performance reasons, it gets to the code base. And it's deployed just so AI, which is slow and expensive, do not have to do it again and again. So it will get to the code base. And AI can also prune pieces of code base that are no longer needed.
Yeah.
And you might have this spec which declares this must be always supported. So you might prevent AI from pruning certain things. It might be for legal reasons, for example,
Yeah. Yeah.
or security reasons. And you might, the development might look very different, really. If I was building, if I was trying to shoot to the far future, and far future still might be less than 10 years, I think development might be very much like this, that you define behaviors, and AI is really creating code, evaluating code, deleting code, deciding what to refactor into your code base, and you are taming the monster and not testing every single line.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's tough. It's tough because we, like I mentioned yesterday that I just heard this episode of Hard Fork, and I realized that the thing that I was good at, the thing that I'm good at, and people would come to me for help, right? Is less special, right? Like there was a time in my career earlier, right, when there were a few programmers in the world. There just weren't that many, and then there was an explosion, right?
Yeah.
And you'd go on a train or a plane, and like there'd be 10 or 12 other programmers on there with you, and now like, and it used to just be you'd be that, you were the programmer, and there you felt this. I felt a bit of a loss of specialness when there's all these people, all these everybody's programming, but now literally everybody is they can just boot up Claude Code and create what they want, and they can do nice things for their family. They can help. Like that thing of small software that's so rewarding, right? When you help a friend set up a tool that will make his life a lot easier, and it didn't take you that much time to do it, but he's so grateful for it, right? Because that's the wonderful thing about like small community based software. You can go to your town hall and be like, oh, you guys need this? I can build that for you. Yeah. Or right in our local community, I built a quick thing so that they can schedule shuttle trips to the city for medical purposes, right? I built a shuttle scheduling software for them, and that felt great. It felt great, but they're not going to need me for that anymore, and it's a sense of loss. It's a big sense of loss, like this. Obviously, I'm the guy who can use Claude Code now, but I don't know how long that's going to be.
So Labable has over 1 million users, paying users, many millions of also people who are evaluating free trials, and many of those people are not developers. They are creative people. And then there is really, so this was happening before AI already with no-code tools. Notion, Airtable, people that are capable to, like, you always had Excel sheets, then you had Google Sheets, so it was shared. Then you have got Notion and Airtable, so you could define simple applications. Now with Labable, you can deploy even more complex applications. There are people who don't know anything about coding, still they have built SaaS products, so they earn money. So it's always more and more difficult to stand out. But you are senior developer with definitely well over a decade of experience. So can always go for those big systems. Work on CAD systems, work on operating systems.
Yeah.
And yeah, but this line, it will always be more like the lift will tide, the tide will lift all the time. It's never going down.
Yeah.
And on top of that, even if companies like OpenAI and Anthropic, Google decided to stop, to pause, open source models from China are maybe 2-3 months behind. They are not going to stop. They will continue. They will keep, hopefully, they will keep releasing those models as open source. So it's unstoppable train. So yeah, software developer as a discipline will change significantly, and it will be super hard for junior developers, I think, more than for senior developers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's who knows? It's like this is we don't. Who knows? Like
Yeah,
a junior developer can now come in and ask an LLM how your code base works. Like when we were junior developers, we couldn't do that.
yeah,
They can come in and ask and sit and start working on a commit with the LLM, and then like ask the LLM to critique it and
yeah,
compare it to the rest of the code base. You know, it's and if they have and if they have fire and energy and curiosity, I think a junior developer who has more of that often than the senior developers can go, could probably go quite far. So who knows, right? I'm just saying that, yeah,
yeah. I don't say
if
that.
we're farming, let me put it another way, if we're farming out coding to an agent, then like where's the
Yeah,
LLM stand between the senior developer, the junior, like there's the LLM, there's the junior developer, there's the senior
I know.
developer, like what's,
It's a scale.
yeah.
So I mean, being a developer
Mm-hmm.
itself, being just a junior developer and self-defining as junior developer might not be a good career anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it has never been easier to become digital services maker.
Yeah.
So, but then you are playing a different game. Your game is no longer that you write code. Your game is that you are providing outcomes. Those utilities you mentioned.
Yeah.
And the better you are, the more complex services you deliver,
Yeah.
and which makes you from software developer into like a role where you mix product management, customer care, some development, DevOps. Is a very drastically different role.
Yeah.
It might be very fulfilling. It will be super useful. It will generate plenty of value for others, both for profit and non-profit. It's just that the skill set will have to be different.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's hard to argue that. I'm gonna do a really rough segue here because you mentioned Lovable,
Yeah.
and I work for Whimsical, and we have a kind of a lovable product called applet.com. And so
Uh-huh.
I just want to throw that in there. So I let it sit for a while. Anyway, we have applet.com
Yeah.
if anybody wants to look at it.
By the way,
Anyway.
when you work at Whimsical, which is like an infinite board where
Mm-hmm.
you can design things, you can analyze things, you can communicate things. How is AI influencing how people use Whimsical?
Oh gosh. I don't think I'm the person to ask
Yeah.
that specific question, but I have an ancillary question that I can to that I can answer. Like, I think that tools for thought, like whimsical, are are going to be extremely in Miro but whimsical, um, um, are going to be extremely valuable in a world of AI. In
Yeah,
the sense, especially if in a world where AI, you can communicate back and forth
yeah,
with AI using tools for thought, right? So if that makes sense, right? Like we're communicating via text right now, which is not great. You know, it works. It works and it works well enough, obviously.
yeah,
But if there's a difference between communicating with, you know, text and communicating, well, Mermaid is a text format, but communicating with a workflow diagram,
yeah,
like which has a lot of annotations on it, which was you thinking, and then having an LLM come back and say, I see what you're thinking. Let's change this here to look like that. And then you look at it and you go, oh, well, that's
yes,
interesting, right? So tools for thought and other modes of communication besides prose, I think, are going to do well.
yeah,
And especially if they get it right.
yeah. I really like reading scientific studies. It's just like with all the things I do, I don't have that much time I would like. And AI is has more time than me to search for new studies. And now, when you make a board, AI could actually tell you, like, it can do a research and say, this assumption in your board is actually incorrect. It's not true. And it can suggest change.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's not like it might be a fact checking, but it might be also sourcing of new ideas
Yeah.
because those boards, like Whimsical, are much better for creativity than text. Much better because you can create relationships or hierarchies. Like, this is more important idea than this one, or
Yeah.
this idea is approved, and this is just brainstorm thing, and we don't know if we will act on it. And AI can help you with all of those things, like with your resources, you don't have money to implement this feature,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it will give you estimates, budgets, help you with deciding in these boards, which might become super productive. So yeah, I think this is in the future. We really now we interact with AI in a text, and it's because those models are text based.
Yeah.
But when you work with Clojure, it doesn't see your page, and still it's able to fix your CSS and HTML.
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes longer. It takes screenshots, but yeah, for a while it is able to fix those things. So over time, we will teach AIs how to do this, and there is a subfield in AI called real world models or world models, which is super interesting field, and you can create a world model that teach AI to drive a car in a virtual world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if this is possible, it means that AI will be it will be possible to work in those like visual worlds as well. It's possible.
Oh,
A
yeah. Yeah.
question is, yeah,
Yeah. I think it's really possible. And I think I think if frameworks evolved so that, the AI could, you know,
yes,
see them a lot more easy. I think if the AI could see, like, uh, just by looking at dev tools, what is actually there instead of having to take a screenshot. That anyway. But yes, I agree with you. Yeah.
although I think in tools like Whimsical, you can create a data format, text data format that has semantics. That means not just this is position X and Y, but this is closer and this is more far, for example, or this is in the box, this is outside of the box.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can represent it as XML,
Yeah.
JSON,
Mm-hmm.
and use this as an input to AI.
You can even use Eden, right? So,
So, when you are not programming, what do you do?
well, right now, I have a ton of lines to learn for a play that I'm going to be in. We have a theater troupe in town, and we have a theater.
Yeah.
It's a small town of 1,000 people, and it's just really lucky to have somebody. We have somebody who writes his own plays, and we have this great group of people. We put them on, and but yeah, I have the lead role, and I find myself at night yelling in my living room to remember lines, just saying it out loud, like forcefully and changing, things like that. But it's a fun play. I play two characters, me and a doppelganger, and one where I get abducted by aliens, and the other who's trying to find the person who got abducted by aliens.
Well,
It's yeah. It's,
nice. How have you got to playing or acting?
yeah, it started honestly in like high school, right? That's the best time to give it a shot, and yeah, but yeah, high school, and then later on, and when I was an adult, going through like uncertainty about my relationships with the world and maybe some depression and whatnot like that. Going through that, I signed up for some improv classes in Chicago. Spent 7 weeks there, and that definitely will get you out of whatever funk you're in, because you have to be there 100% all day long every day,
Yes.
and yeah, it's fantastic. I recommend it it's kind of intense, but I
Yeah.
do recommend it to people. It's kind of great.
My kids do drama
Yeah.
in the school. It seems to me that in the British system, it seems to me it's now super popular, extremely popular. They have plays in school. Like the whole time they go to school, even not only the kids that do extra activity, even they prepare this a lot. It seems to me that education is moving more from knowing a lot into also having skills. And drama is definitely a skill. It's multiple skills, right? It's
Yes.
memory, it's expressing emotions, it's being able to be in front of other people, which is not automatic. Being able to work with other people as a team.
Yeah.
Also, working under stress, learning things fast. Yeah, plenty of skills.
Yeah, and working with a team. Working with a team on a creative endeavor where you probably have input too, right? And there's some agency there. There's a lot. You kind of determine. If you're in a play, you have a large part in determining its outcome, and but also there's also playfulness. There's never been a play I've been in where we didn't joke around and have a good time.
Yeah.
And try to trip each other up every now and then, and just that's part of it as well. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I guess it's a lot about being around completely different people who are maybe thinking about completely different things than software developers.
And I'm going to throw something in there. Like one thing, like if there was one activity that I thought would change the way humanity relates to each other, like right now. And if people could just dance, but I don't mean freeform dancing, which is also great. Like freeform dancing is great. Uh, all kinds of dancing are great, but I'm talking about like partner dancing or traditional, like,
Yeah.
or contra dancing. I don't know if you're aware
Yeah.
of contra dancing or
Yes.
swing. I think contra dancing and swing both do so much uh, for a person, in terms of being present with other people in reality, like physically
Yeah.
present, and having fun and being playful, and moving into the sphere of one person, then into the sphere of the next person, then move into the sphere of the next person, and being present for all of those interactions, like contra dancing or flips,
Yeah. In counter dancing, you dance in formations, right? So
Yep,
you need to be there, people around you
yep,
much more. While in classic dancing, uh,
yep,
you don't want to hit anybody, but
yeah.
you mainly need to be aware of your partner.
Yes, exactly,
Right?
exactly. And so like I've you watch groups of strangers like get together and do an activity like this, and you realize that people have a knowledge of each other. They
Yeah.
have a shared experience at the end, and they don't know each other's name. They don't know the names, they don't know that, but they've gotten to know this group of people and gotten to know that they're genuinely good people, you know,
Yeah.
as opposed to, exposure to social media, which can give you
Yeah.
quite a cynical, like quite a cynical, solitary view
Yeah.
of the world, right? I mean, it's a shame because a lot of people are put off by dancing and they feel like
Yeah.
they're all thumbs, and it's very uncomfortable being vulnerable like that. But
Yeah.
if I was going to prescribe one thing, is to bring back this idea of community dancing, and because it is euphoric when you get a group of people together and just live like that for
Yes.
a
Yes.
couple hours. Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. I don't want to be negative, but it's not just this type of dancing. Like all clubs have
yeah,
problems. People go
yeah,
to clubs less because they watch YouTube more.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and generally, for many activities, it's difficult to convince people to come for all types of music, uh, because you can always choose between music, TikTok,
yeah,
YouTube,
yeah.
Netflix, and so on.
Mhm.
And um, this might be also more difficult to form relationships and relationships outside of your social bubble.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
because people used to hang out with people with all types of opinions.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And now we might interact more with people we are forced to be with in the job,
yeah,
uh, or in our street, and then people we curate online, and that's it.
yeah,
And yeah, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. But I think in this, it seems to me that there is a lot of people nowadays who realize this, who
yeah,
are limiting social media. I'm not even like I have stopped going to Facebook, Instagram. Uh, what else? I never had TikTok. Like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I never had Snapchat. Never in my life. Like,
No.
so. And it seems to me that there are now plenty of young people who also are abandoning those because they realize that it's poisonous and it's better to spend time with people outside,
Yeah,
cycling, kayaking, doing whatever, playing music. Uh, so I think that in this we are not lost. The future still might be quite positive.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's hope. I mean, that's very encouraging, and I think it's true. The platforms are very addictive, but yes, yeah, yeah,
Like my son's friends, all of them, they play football, soccer,
Oh, that's
you would
great.
say. A lot, a lot. It's a massive thing here, and other sports. Girls go to gymnastics a lot. It's super popular. So yeah, we are not going to see the world where everybody is just staring to screen 16 hours a day. Fingers crossed.
Yes, yes, yes.
But
That sounds wonderful. Let's hope for
yeah,
that. Yeah.
but every single innovation has like this curve where people think everything is explosive, everything is exponential.
Hmm.
Then it stops. I think Facebook is already losing users. Other social networks might be the same, might do it the same. People no longer buy the newest iPhones. They stick with the same iPhone for a couple of years, or Android. So yeah, we are behind the curve. And yeah,
Yeah.
now we will see people being hyper addicted to AI. We will see crazy people who will try to marry AI.
Yeah.
But also it will get to the top, and then we will see that people will see, okay, but I love chatting with AI, but I also love dancing,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I also loved playing guitar, so I will get
Yeah.
back to playing guitar as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so um, I'm not that scared. I know that like in the preparation, you are a big believer of singularity coming,
Well,
right?
it seems that this is, yeah, a very singularity like event where we've increased our capabilities, and those capabilities are being fed back into the
Yeah,
thing that is increasing the capabilities. Yes, yes. Yeah.
yeah. I definitely. I think I have a little bit different view, and this even when it might be similar. I think it will be exponential for a very long time. It might be massive change. We might be living 200 years. We might be colonizing our galaxy in the far future. And we will definitely live in the world very soon where 75% of the world GDP will be made by AI. 100%. And even then, plenty of places in the world will be super slow in AI adoption. My favorite place is Mongolia. Like, when Mongolia's GDP, 75% of Mongolia's GDP will be created by AI. But it will be an explosive change. But then I think every single innovation inherently goes into logarithmic value increase. So there is one added value in AI in its IQ, and then there is a second part, and it's in integration, what you do with that.
Hmm.
Training AI, every single IQ point is more and more expensive, and exponentially more expensive. So we will live through AI that will have higher IQ than any living human being. It's quite possible. But I think most of the value of AI will not be in that high IQ. It will be in that integration with everything.
Hmm.
Like 30 years ago, it was 100% certain that everything that can be online will be online. And 15 years ago, it was 100% certain that everything that could be done on the phone will one day be doable from a cell phone. And now it's 100% sure that everything that can be done by AI will be done by AI.
Yeah.
It will be a massive change. But still, I think there must be some limit. Nothing grows forever. Otherwise, I think it might
Well,
be against some nature law.
yes, right. Yeah. So yes, so nature has this idea of homeostasis, right? Like
Yeah.
the forest starts, the forest starts growing. You get trees, and they compete with each other, and it's just this massive explosion, and they're shading each other, and then they reach, it turns into a mature forest, right? And the
Yeah.
mature forest is stable. It doesn't just keep growing, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, um, but so there's that as a natural law, and obviously, but capitalism kind of, it depends on that. Anyway, let's not do that. But so, but this is this is different, right? I mean, if we're, in that it's always hard to predict the future with and there's always a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
I feel like the degree of uncertainty right now, but pretending that politics doesn't exist, the amount of uncertainty right now, just with AI and the changes it's going to bring, and trying to see past that veil, I think is incredibly difficult. Because there are lots of paths. There are a lot of paths here, and one of them, could be pretty dystopic, where you're a developer and you're just working for Mechanical Turk because you're the human,
Yeah.
battery in the Matrix, and you just get these things that come up, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
you're the human. You tell them, and so it's like like Jira from
Uh,
Hades.
yeah. I
So
have I have
and so
read
that
an
could
art-
happen. Somebody's building that, I'm sure, like right now.
uh,
And so
I
that's
have
not
read
great.
an article that's actually exactly about this. There are people who are like this already.
Yeah.
The article was, I think, was called "Above API and Below API," and the article, it was long before AI existed. And the article was speaking about companies like Uber, where you put the code in the middle of the company. So you have people who are developers, who are above the API level, and then you have
Mhm.
drivers,
Yeah.
and below, and in between is the app. And you have no way how to get from below the API to above the API. In normal company, you can grow, you can get better, you get promoted, you get more responsibilities, and no matter where you started, you might grow in this business. But when you have this like API level, it might forever turn you into somebody who is below API, who is uh, driven by app, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And with AI, you can replace the whole middle management. So if you still need hands, and if you don't have robots, this might be wider and wider and wider. So you will have some one person who owns this infinite API layer, and then people who will be just like hands, eyes, and legs of this API, turning wheels and pressing buttons or whatever. This has been a real danger for a while. It's connected with gig economy, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, this is a real danger.
Well, yeah, just the economic incentives just push in that direction. Like it's just like just the way things are set up, or it just kind of,
You
you
will
know,
have you can design your organization not to be like this.
you
So, for
can,
example,
yeah,
yes, for
you
example, let's
can,
say if we are going to build like AI bots that are managing people, we will put it to the repository and we will let people send pull requests. By letting people send pull requests, even when they are checked by some bot, they are above the API because
yeah,
they can change the behavior of the
yeah,
robot.
yeah,
So it's a decision. When you decide that people have force to change AI, you move them into the above API level. And I think this is a best practice that every company should do in some way. It does not have to be source code. It can be prompts or guidelines you are providing to AI. So if you see, okay, and actually AI here behaves unethically or has terrible consequences, you can change it. You can experiment with it, and you can let many people do those things. And if AI is supposed to make companies better for everybody, this is how it should be done, actually.
Well, yeah, and I, we're getting close to the end of the thing. I think it's just making that voluntary and a choice between. You understand the problem, the trade. Yeah, you understand the problems. That's being a company is voluntary,
Yeah.
if it's not like regulated or enforced, and like Germany, a certain number of workers need to be on the board, right, of a company. Like a certain number of people who are below, have a say on the board to represent. Like that's a good, those types of things are going to be needed. It's just, there's a stock market and people want growth and and that tends to push things in certain
even without regulations, I wouldn't buy product made by child labor, for example.
Yeah, understood.
So, like,
knowingly,
yeah,
you wouldn't knowingly
yeah,
do that. Yeah.
yeah. But like, if it should be win-win capitalism, people should be informed, of course, and then they can choose. Even like without regulations, I would opt for working with companies that have this like better approach, more ethical approach. Of course, they might be lying,
Well,
but
and yes, we all do, but that puts we all do, but that's puts the burden on us, right? Like it pushes the burden to every single person in every single monetary interaction to decide whether the person on the other side of that action is acting. I mean, we're just having the regulation debate.
yeah,
There are two sides of that debate. One is that you do need it. It's got to be the right, it's got to be the right amount, and too much of it obviously stifles things, and too little of it lets the market turn people into batteries. So and then in putting it, but anyway, my point was putting the onus on every single person and every single monetary transaction. Let's and say let companies do whatever they want and let the user decide is the same thing that happened with recycling, right? Recycling is, let's pretend that people can recycle plastic and tell them that it's their job to figure out how to do it, and not regulate it. Yeah, so it's I don't think these things happen automatically, and I think we do have to make hard decisions as a society, and make decisions that are painful and may hurt innovation sometimes. But we have to protect our kids, for instance, or we can't just pretend that we can't just make it each individual's responsibility to understand every single decision they make is which decisions are good, when decisions have so many, like small decisions have such far-reaching effects in
yeah.
terms of when you purchase something or something.
Really, it could be even culture-based. Like, I am from the Czech Republic,
Yeah.
and in the Czech Republic, people really recycle, and we recycle. Colored glass, white glass, plastic paper in different bins. It's not forced. You don't have to. Nobody is pushing you. Still, we are one of the world leaders, actually, in doing this. While when I was living in the UK, you had two bins, recycled and everything else. And so it was much more simple. And your recycle could overflow, they will still take it. While your general waste, the lid has to be closed. Otherwise, they wouldn't take it. And you would have to stick with it for another 2 weeks. So Uh, it was forced, but still it seems to me that British people were not willing to recycle as much, even that they were regulated more than Czechs who do it voluntarily. No pushing, because since childhood, this is what our parents did. We do it. Like, it's a normal thing for us. So it depends if employers will see this as a natural thing, not to put people below API and let them contribute into this.
Well, one of okay, yeah. Well, we're just having a political debate, and we don't need to like
It's a transition.
I don't like Amazon exists, right? Like
Yeah,
it's one of the largest employers in the world, and it treats people like they're below the warehouse. So and they're run by robots. So I and Bezos was incentivized to build this, by looking at the numbers, and so like uh, I want people to do these things. We all want people to do these things voluntarily, but you make a tax system where people don't have to pay taxes, and if they, in certain situations, then they're going to make these situations.
yeah,
If you make a system that says, hey, we don't care how you treat employees whatsoever, just make a buck, then the incentives are just running in that direction. So
yeah,
like the incentives are strong in that direction. You could be the king of the world if you would just treat people like they don't matter. um, so and it's exemplified by
yeah.
heads of
Oh,
state.
yeah.
But
On the other
so
side, average OpenAI employee earns about $1.5 million
yeah,
every
yeah,
year.
yeah.
And they are probably treated well.
Mhm.
It's really up to employers and also employees if they have a choice. Not many warehouse workers can go to work at OpenAI, but there is always a scale of competition between employers. Nobody, like some people might have the only option might be to work at Amazon. But while for others, it might be one of other options. Um, so, um, you know, in the end, companies might end up fighting for people, especially talented people. Anyway, yeah, it's
Yeah,
too
yeah, yeah.
political.
Yeah. Well, it's political. It's fun to talk about, though. But
Yeah, I
yeah, yeah, yeah.
realize that this BDD model we were speaking about, you could do the same thing for companies. Like you might have those like written policies, like would have user stories, and AI could do what it can, and people can do what they can do. AI could potentially check that those policies that might be, yeah, for safety, for legal reasons, whatever, that they are adhered to and that they do those things, and those policies might be readable for all employees. So they actually might also contribute to the user stories stack of the company. And it might be actually interesting way how to manage the business. Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I wonder. Some people say, will we see companies with no employees? Now I wonder if we will see companies where humans and AI will actually merge, and everybody will do his part.
Yeah.
And it might be always evolving because companies are always evolving, and they will together like improve this specification in a way.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's hope. Yeah, this is all very interesting, and the thing I like about the thing that interests me about what you just said, or what I thought of, was that yeah, we're just moving quickly, and things are changing quickly, and I think a lot of people are assuming their what their particular talent that they have can be replaced by AI, right? Like I think a lot of people think that. I think that's that's what everybody thinks until it happens, right? And it's happening quickly. And if you work like you work with these models all day long, I work with these models all day long. And when I like step back and put together their thought chain
Yeah.
and how they came to their conclusion, you know, the idea that they are not thinking at a high level about these things, even if it didn't come out with the outcome that you wanted, or if it even was wrong,
Yeah.
the idea that they're not thinking at a high level is nonsense, right? And it's so. I think kids have access to ChatGPT, so they have access to CEO level, decision making assistance. That's
Yeah. Speaking of which, I will say something that will sound shocking to many. Uh, Many people say, "Oh, AI is actually not thinking; it's just predicting next token." Uh, so, what do people really think that humans are doing? There is a great book called "Mind is Flat." It's written
sounds.
by behavioral scientist. It was the best book in its year in its field. And he is a professor of cognitive behavioral uh, at Warwick University. And what he says is that actually, even for our brain, that he like spends hundreds of pages explaining how our cognition works. And actually, most of the reality we perceive does not exist as we perceive it. Our brain makes it. And also, our thoughts are like plausible things our brain is generating. Our memories are not real, like that we have a hard drive and we would
Yeah,
restart something byte by byte. It's plausible regeneration of
yeah,
brain things that things has happened. And we are constantly living in a world where our sensory input, like even most of what we see is actually blurred. But we don't think about it because we are moving with our eyes quite quickly. And the brain is creating this like reality in front of you. And it seems not blurred just because the brain created this reality. But actually, if things are changing around you, if your eye is not going there, you will not see it. And and then we are storing those inaccurate inputs in our brain in inaccurate way, and then brain reconstructs the reality of those inaccurate things that has happened completely differently, and creates a story for us. And there are no more layers. It's just like the brain takes those synapses and generates plausible story. That's
yeah.
it. That's what's happening. People think that our personalities have five different layers, and we have a deep meaning and subconscious things we have to resolve and so on. No, it's like brain generates behaviors. That's it. And plausible stories. That's what's happening. So we are actually not like people say, oh, the AI is only doing that. And inherently, they think that our brains are doing so much, but they are not doing so much. We do, like, we have multiple senses. We don't have five senses. No, so scientists believe we have 38 different senses. Like, sense of where are our organs, where are our hands, our sense of hunger. It's a sense. So our brains are processing significantly more senses, but we are not doing that much. There are not many layers doing many different things. Mind is quite flat, really, like this process, and it's good to admit it that we are not so good as we maybe think.
And I mean, I think when you say that, I agree in the sense that I see something similar going on in the models as to what goes on in our brains, right? Like I, I, like if you meditate at all, you realize that, when you're sitting there, your mind is just like, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm going to do this now and I'm going to do that now. And when you dream, it's like, it's just still generating. It's like, I've got this and that sparked this and that sparked this and that
Yeah.
sparked this. Just because you had a weird conversation with somebody that morning, you've got like a story about an ocean liner sinking and you're, for some reason you want to hug the anchor. But like yeah. So like when you meditate, you see this constant generation and it stimulates itself and just keeps going, right? It's just like auto chat GPT or auto GPT, and so you see like something very, very similar to this. But I don't know, like, it's kind of like the Matrix though, right? If that for us is everything, well, that everything can take on many, many, many dimensions. So I don't think it's flat and it's only flat. Well, if that flat can generate a universe that has many, many dimensions, then I think that's where the perception that we have multiple layers and we have this and we have that, because we have peak experiences, right? We have moments that feel tremendously different, and whether it's being really, really present or in like I canoe. Like I go up to the north, to the remote north of Saskatchewan, and I canoe. And I'll tell you, like being out there alone, or with your partner, and you're canoeing along on a 160K journey, and it's a peak experience. You experience life differently. The stimulus is all natural. Your mind quiets down. It's another world. And it's another experience. And so and for people who are spiritual, right? Like there's something, it feels like there's something more to them. It feels like there's this tendency towards the love of the good, for a better reason, a love of the honest, a love of the I don't know, this transcendental experience of love or whatever that is, right? So if we really want to deny that, and maybe it's a dimension we've generated from the flat, but why would we do that? Like why would we deny that? Because
So when you mentioned meditations, so I do meditation called Mahasi method, and it's a Buddhist meditation. Basically, you perceive something, you say it in your mind, and you drop it. So cold, like when you are sitting, you feel cold. You say cold. When you have a thought thundering, and you drop it. When something is pushing or pain, and you drop it. And over time, you are supposed to get to the point where you realize anatta. You are not your thoughts. That's the learning. You are supposed to find. And actually, I found that meditation and modern cognitive behavior theory arrives to similar things. You are not your thoughts. You have experience and you affiliate yourself with those experiences, but you are not those experiences, which is super difficult for humans to understand, but it also gives you a lot of power, because you can say, okay, this is valuable for me to enjoy northern lights, for example. But at the
Yeah.
same time, this gives you a power that, for example, when you have a negative self-talk, you can drop it. Or when you have addiction and you would want something, a dose of something, you can drop it. Or when you feel hatred, you can drop it. So, like, because you don't have to affiliate with anything because your thoughts, you are not your thoughts. The thing that thoughts happen to you does not mean that you have to believe on those things or let those things shape you. And actually, one of the biggest added values of meditation, and people say, oh, it's help stress or whatever. And besides spiritual things, it's actually that you can use it to shape yourself by removing all things that are holding you back, that are making your life worse. And there is a lot of pain or struggling people just do to themselves. Without like really a substance that would force them to do this. Even when I am on this journey, I don't want to be a spiritual, how to put it, influencer or whatever, but it really works. Like when I sit in the meditation, when negative thoughts come, I often find out that they are not based on reality, not really affecting me, so I drop them. And they happen less often. So it makes my life much better because I can shape my reality to be worried only about things that really matter and not about fears that have no real impact, that might not even happen. But it's tricky.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, I think we may have stumbled onto a thought here. And first of all, yes, like self-hate, or it's a strong term for it, but negative self-talk or shame, you know, Brené Brown style, like all these things. Like I've struggled with, you know, tremendously, you know, in my life. And there, you know, like just not believing I'm good enough or doing good enough, or and it's a constant. And yeah, I do believe that of all the things, having a meditation practice, and whether I practice it or not, having one, to even go back to, has been like a lifesaver for me. Not literally lifesaver, but it's been something I could rely on to give me some insight when I'm, you know, just not believing that I'm a good person. You know, but I'm wondering, in the context of our conversation, if the movement of meditation is a movement away from that flat line. Like if that flat line is what would you say that you know, I forget what it's called in well, we'll just call it a transformer. But hey, that you give some input, it gives some output, right? But it kind of reflects it back to you and gives you, like, moving away from that, or stepping back and seeing how automatic and reactive and how it's always moving, constantly and churning constantly, and then watching it quiet down, right?
Yeah.
So I think, like, it again talks to this duality of the spiritual versus maybe the transformer in us. And maybe that's, you know, maybe that's something to think about, or a way to start thinking about what makes us different from
So
the transformer.
there are different
Yeah.
different types of meditations. The meditations I have been doing are mainly a rendezvous with reality. Like you are sitting there and you have completely unfiltered contact with every moment. And you cut those moments into individual breaths or thoughts, or in Mahasi method, senses. Like every time something happens to you, you say it in your head and then you drop it. So it's unfiltered contact with reality, moment after moment. And the end goal is actually the goal. The result is deprogramming you, because you might have plenty of behaviors and assumptions that might hold you back. And for me, it is helpful that I deprogram myself in things that are based on things that are not true. But like often people are told something as children, so they blindly believe it, and then when they live their lives, it might no longer be truth, or the reality might be more complex. And meditation is a way how to deprogram all things that are causing you suffering. And it's hours and hours spent with real reality as it is. And it usually shows that reality might be more boring than people think, but at the same time, life is less painful. And many of those fears we have do not ever realize or materialize. So you become more fearless. So this is impact I see on myself. But like I say, there are different meditations, so different people might get to different results. This is what has been happening to me. I am generally happy, even when I have problems in my life, just like everybody. But I'm generally happy. I have no fears except for my kids, of course. But so I think that meditation helps a lot in all of those things.
And I would agree. Meditation and dancing. Meditation and dancing.
Yeah, and
So that's
dancing.
the only meditation and dancing. That's all you need. And I also think like you can get really hung up on, like if you're thinking about starting meditation, you can get really hung up on what the experience is supposed to be like, and you can get you can get hung up on a lot of these things. And I think I think people, if they do start, they should just take it easy.
Yeah.
And I swear, just sitting down and having the intention, even if your mind, goes on a storming rampage, just sitting down and having the intention to do it, seems to have benefit. Like, so, because I've meditated steadily, and then I've stopped meditating, and then I've meditated steadily, and I've stopped. Each time you come back, it's like you're brand new. You're swimming in it. Your mind is just going, thinks like, oh, holiday, I'm gonna just have a party, and but if just the intention of sitting there and your mind going crazy afterwards, I still, even though my mind's saying, you screwed this up, you didn't meditate correctly, you're never going to get back to where you were, you're a bad developer on top of it, and you're never going to get good at your job, but even after all that, I seem to feel better in a subtle way. Like through the rest of the day, I seem to have a little tiny bit more space between me and all those things running around through my head, and so so even if you think it's not working, it might just be working just fine. So
like you don't have to have any expectations from meditation. For me, it's really just it's simple. Like the beginning is simple, even when it's hard to maintain it, but it's simple. You uh, you are just seeing the reality as it happens, moment after moment, and this is a good beginning because we are now living in a world where people are constantly distracted, and just this is training. And when you add something like I added this, like dropping things, it is over time making you better. But after one session, you might feel, I feel calmer. I feel that I'm less stressed. But in the long run, what is happening is that it is really deprogramming bad beliefs and bad habits and behaviors you have.
Yeah.
No matter if it's like negative self-talk, addictions, or like deep thoughts, or deep values you made 30 years ago based on what like a schoolmate told you, like if you do this you will look ugly, so you spend the whole life thinking that if you do this you will be ugly, and then like you learn that it was a dumb take of 15-year-old, and you are still thriving your life based on what somebody told you 3 decades ago.
Yeah.
And so this is what meditation is really good for. And even 20 minutes a day does a lot. I don't meditate for hours. I don't have time. Like 25 minutes is plenty. I will never be a Buddhist monk, but really this is something that's useful and helps.
Yeah, and I would just say like when you say deprogramming, like just for clarity, the way I think about it, is it provides a lot of space around those negative thoughts instead of them being real and upfront and like you are getting worse at your job thought, right? So it's up close, it's in your face, it's personal, and instead of thinking about it as deprogramming, I think of it as just having space from that thought. When you hear it, it's quieter, it's in the distance, and you're in. There's an awareness of it. There's an awareness of it as a separate thing from who you are. And so yeah, that's just the way I would express it. Just
Yes.
For clarity. But I'm really aware that we are two tech guys talking about meditation. We've been talking about it for a while, and we are not experts.
I wonder how many people will get this long into the interview, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, this might be the most watched part. We'll go viral, and people are like, man, they had this great talk about meditation.
Yeah, 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Nobody wants to see that.
Or maybe yes.
Or maybe, yeah.
Or maybe yes. Some people I have met in Clojure community, it's not in the interview, but after the interview, they told me that they are on a spiritual path or doing things.
Yeah.
It's just personal things, so not many people get into this in the interview, but it's part of people's lives.
Well, yeah. If we ever want to do a talk about like software and like self-hate, like I could do a whole session on that, right? Just like the patterns that show up, over and over again,
Anyway, how can people support you?
Well, GitHub sponsors is a very easy and direct way, and it's helpful. It's helpful.
Right.
Yeah, and it's but Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
It
trying
has
to
been
stay.
interesting.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, it has been absolutely awesome. Almost 2 hours. It's the longest interview we have ever done. Our previous it has been also the most off-topic interview we have ever done. But
Yes.
it was perfect. I have really enjoyed every single bit of that. So thanks a lot, and I would be super happy if we could do another one in a year or two from now on.
That would be great. I
That was
really
great. I
enjoyed it.
really enjoyed it.
Irja, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.